Welcome to the Poll Tracker. This is a carefully created segment of the show that is data-driven, data that is publicly verifiable and available so that you, our viewers, can follow every step of the way. And this morning, as we've always done, we are getting into a conversation deeply rooted in data, but creates a worrying trend that Musa Nankwa and also the Afrobarometer survey have tracked: public sector corruption. It's not looking good. And we segue into this National Service Authority, the latest details of the forensic audit. But here is why this is a problem. I'm going to show it to you. The total irregularities, financial irregularities in our public institutions over the last, at least we tracked the last 5 years. It tells a story, a troubling one for that matter. And look at this. In 2020, total irregularities, we're talking about cash irregularities, payroll irregularities, procurement. Procurement is a big issue in the public sector. One of the areas that facilitates corruption. Procurement. There's 12.9 billion total irregularities in 2020, increased to 17.5 billion Ghana cedis in 2021, 15.1 billion in 2022, 8.8 billion cedis in 2023. And look at that. In the election year 2024, we had the highest within the 5-year period that we are tracking, 18.4 billion Ghana cedis. And as we put it on record, the caveat is that not all of this is lost, essentially, but these are irregularities captured by the Auditor-General. This is a country that is still grappling with resources. We lack resources. We say we don't have enough money to prosecute a number of the projects that we are also then financing. But look at this. 2024 recorded the highest irregularities coinciding with an election year and the end of a presidential tenure. Now, this is where we see a very interesting trend. And if you look at the total irregularities breakdown, financial institutions that lend to public institutions and the public institutions that also give out some form of loans form 62.6 billion Ghana cedis. The procurement, cash, payroll irregularities constituted a little over 10 billion Ghana cedis. And this is where it gets worrying. The loans and debts in the public sector alone constitute over 86.2%. And this is why the president was of the view that people should be going to Insawam for some of these crimes. This is it. Cash irregularities over 6.9 billion within that 5-year period. And then procurement irregularities over 1.5 billion Ghana cedis. And you have contract over 1.3 billion. And then the big one, you see the other one as well here, which has been of major concern, over 38 million related to payroll irregularities. All of these irregularities on a yearly basis, it keeps repeating. We have this. It's not like one of them has been dealt with. Every year, it is repeated. And we lose money through either cash, procurement, contract, tax, payroll, stores. All of these. So what is the problem? Coupled with this forensic audit that tends to reveal a lot more than what the normal audit reveals, that we even cry about at the Public Accounts Committee. This is the president, a couple of weeks ago, make that call that we should be sending people to Insawam as a way of deterring others from engaging in this level of public sector corruption. Take a look.
to find a final solution to this Auditor-General's report, that persons who are found guilty of infractions or do not follow due procedure or lead to loss of public resources, we must have a fast-track process to Nsawam. Fast-track, before you see you are in Nsawam, 6 months. You know, until we do that, until there's a deterrent, we're going to come every year and they say total misappropriation and infractions of found out by the Auditor-General is about 15 billion cedis. I mean, if we save 15 billion cedis, can you imagine what it could do? To find a final solution to this Auditor-General's report, that persons who are found guilty of infractions or do not follow due procedure or lead to loss of public resources, we must have a fast-track process to Nsawam. Fast-track, before you see you are in Nsawam, 6 months. You know, until we do that, until there's a deterrent, we're going to come every year and they say total misappropriation and infractions of found out by the Auditor-General is about 15 billion cedis. I mean, if we save 15 billion cedis, can you imagine what it could do?
So that's the president, John Dramani Mahama there. How many of you share in that sentiment? Because of all of this, these irregularities due to public sector corruption, people should just be sent to Nsawam, you know, as a way of deterring others from engaging in this level of public sector corruption that is uncovered by the Auditor-General in the audit reports, at least, that we tracked between 2020 and 2025. This is even beyond what the forensic audit that the National Service Authority, in fact, was subjected to brought. We'll get into that, but we're dealing with this Auditor General's findings over the last 5-year period and the President's sentiments and concerns and his recommendations. Well, I've been joined in the studio by Dr. Joshua Zato. He is a senior lecturer, Political Science Department at the University of Ghana, Legon. Which I indicated, he's not dropped that intentions of representing the people of Sisala. He's not dropped, as far as I know. We've been having private conversations on the ticket of the MPP. But it's good to have you. Good morning, Dr. Joshua Zato.
Good morning, Alfred. Good morning.
Wonderful.
My friend here, Solomon, says he will write a check for me. No, I'll introduce him. He says he will write a check for me one day. So he has money. So
wonderful. Let me welcome his very good friend, Solomon Owusu. He is the National Communications Officer for the newly formed United Party Plus, UP Plus party, led by Alan Kojo Chemanting. Solomon, also good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Alfred, and happy to be back and happy to be here. And good morning to my brother, Dr. Zato, who has thrown into the air some misrepresentations that has to be dealt with this morning.
Which is what?
We made certain statements over the week that Paul Afoko rejoining the MPP is a pain to the UP. And I thought that...
it means the MPP is still attractive.
Well, how is it attractive? He has always been a member of the MPP. So if one of your own, that is rejoining you joins you, how is it a pain to the UP party?
But he was suspended.
If you are suspended, doesn't mean you are not part of the party.
I don't know that you watched the show on Wednesday. You were watching it.
No, I watched. But the point is that I was very surprised. It tells me how you are threatened by the existence of the UP. Because we were not looking for Paul Afoko to come and do anything in our party. We have our interim national chairman, we have all our executives in place, we have a founding leader of the party. So what were we expecting Paul Afoko to come and do in our party? If you suspended someone and you claim him back, how does it become a pain to a party that has been formed to win political power?
Don't worry, the pain is small. It's okay.
How can
the pain is small.
No, but I was very surprised that you go on that tangent that it is a pain to the UP party.
Is it not?
It is.
How can it be?
It is.
If someone who once described the political parties as a foam decides to go back to the same foam, who is that person?
So,
Yeah, really.
So, now,
That's the point.
now, let me speak.
That's the point. If someone who, in spite of the fact that you were legitimately elected, and the mafia decides to kick you out of which your own brother suffers the consequences of it, decides to go back and rejoin the people that punished the brother because of him. How does it become my pain? It must rather be a source of concern to him and his family. And anybody that thought that, hey, he will do the right thing. And so, for me, if there is any pain, that pain has to be with the family and any acquaintances. I know the UP party that is flourishing, that is rigorously recruiting members, most of which are coming from the New Patriotic Party.
Interesting.
So let me see, Honorable Paul Afoko, you wanted to...
No.
Honorable Paul Afoko, good morning, thank you. What you did was you demonstrated political maturity. You demonstrated that you still love your roots and your party. You demonstrated that even though you left the mothership briefly, you came back. You demonstrated that your party, the New Patriotic Party, is still very attractive. You demonstrated that the New Patriotic Party still has the solutions to this country and not where you go. And I'm happy that you did that. I'm also happy that when you left the MPP for all these years, you never attacked the MPP, you never criticized the MPP, you never said anything bad about the MPP. You acted in a matured way, you acted in a responsible way, and that you never bit the hand that fed you. You never bit the hand that fed you. Even though, again, you had every legitimate right, like he said, your brother suffered under the MPP, your president suffered, even because of all this.
It is the most useless
every legitimate reason to be bitter. You were not bitter. You had every legitimate reason to insult and to criticize the people you never did. The people who were fed by the MPP from 2016 to 2020, people who got juicy appointment under Nana Addo, people who at one point in time sat in Nana Addo's cabinet, like Honorable Alan Chirameteng, with those who have not criticized the MPP. That is shameful. And that is bitterness. This bitterness, look, you said they are Nana People's Party. You still know, you said they...
No, hold on. I am going to ask him that question.
Nana people, when they appointed.
But I have to give it time to respond.
You will respond.
All right.
You said Nana People's Party, MPP is not Nana People's Party. Let's just agree that. Who is Nana People's Party? I define Nana people as people that Nana Addo appointed and gave them jobs, gave them food, gave them accommodation.
You did
that. No, it's true. No, it's important. Okay. Now you come out and you are literally shitting on the party or the people that fed you one day. Today, Paul Afoko has shown you grace. Okay. He has shown you that is not how to do the kind of politics you did. It's childish.
Okay.
Don't do that.
Well, at what point did Paul Afoko leave the NPP?
No, he wasn't. He was suspended.
Yes.
He left. He was suspended.
He was suspended, but he didn't leave.
No, he was suspended. When you have suspended for a party, you're no more there.
No.
You're suspended.
He was suspended as the
national chairman.
But he was never suspended as a member of the party.
He was suspended. Good. If he was suspended, Alfred, imagine that you run and win to be a national chairman and then you are suspended, removed from office. Everything that you promised delegates, you are not doing it. Yes. Imagine also after all that, your own brother is going through a lot under the same government. Okay. Imagine all this things. Okay. Despite all this things, he has shown maturity. He has shown that the MPP is more attractive. He has come back home and he's telling people that don't be ungrateful to the people that once fed you and clothed you.
Okay, I needed to clarify that yes.
So first of all, Paul Afoko
in 2 minutes
has been a member of the MPP. He never left the MPP. So if you are a member of a group and you still remain a member of the group, what sort of how do you describe the person as coming from somewhere? Again, there is no way that you can describe Alan Chirameteng as an ungrateful being.
Okay.
How did he become an ungrateful being? Just by leaving a political party that he feels that the foundation, the ideologies based upon which it was set up has been deviated and so going on his way. You cannot be going on that tangent. That is a mark of a man who believes in principles.
Okay.
If there was anything to go by, then you are telling me that another living the PFP in 1979 was also a mark of being disingenuous. Forming the USC with his uncle Powell was disingenuous. That is not it. You came for a political party through another person.
All right.
Your own candidate, Baumia, you are supporting. It is a public record that he was never a member of the MPP. What was his political lineage? Was it not NDC?
All right, so thank you, gentlemen, thank you. Let me also acknowledge the presence of a man who has, over the period, impacted knowledge in many ways. In fact, we've been having conversations for some time now, and today he's here in a very important capacity, because this matter that we're going to deal with is one that he has been working on for quite a while. Isaac Danso-Ejiri is a chartered accountant. He is a private legal practitioner. One time, in fact, many years ago, he was the best graduating law student from the Ghana School of Law, and he's worked in many ways. He's a PhD candidate in the Oxford University, and he's joining us in the studio. Isaac Danso-Ejiri, good morning.
Good morning, Alfred, and thanks for having me.
Welcome. Finally, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Also joining us is the CEO of the Ghana Shippers Authority, a political scientist, Professor Ransford Jampo. Prof, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Alfred. Thanks for having me. Yesterday, we at the Ghana Shippers Authority convened a seminar for judges. We call it Maritime Law Seminar for Judges, and it was about updating all judges about what is happening in our maritime space. It was about sensitizing judges about our new act that empower us as effective regulator in the maritime space. It was also about taking judges on tour of the ports to see at first hand what happens there, to guide judges in determination of matters that we send to them. If people are running afoul of our laws, if people are milking shippers dry, and we decide to take them to court, you wanted the judges to appreciate what really takes place within our industry, so that their judgment could be contextualized and in a manner that would make them effective in the delivery and in the adjudication of disputes that placed before them. And so it was successful. I saw the acting Chief Justice and all the important people, or all the judges were there. It was exciting to see how they came to listen to us in our sensitization drive. And I want to commend the management and staff of the Ghana Shippers Authority for helping all of us to achieve this feat. I also want to make the point, I don't know whether I should make it off air or, but I think that it's about the...
If you're unsure, then we'll talk about it.
No. I want to. I still want to talk about it. I still want to talk about it. I think that my brother Zato and my brother Solomon, they have their morning displays, and it occurs. Sometimes I watch them in the other programs that you hold. But when we come here on key points, we should allow us to be sober in reflecting on the issues and not the bantering that now they are gradually being known.
So they have always,
otherwise, don't
their
put them together. Sit one here and then the other one there.
They'll be together.
Because one day,
they are very good friends. Thank you, Prof. Thank you very much.
Otherwise, separate them.
Thank you very much.
Because it's like the moment they come together, and then I can see your camera people just laughing and they are excited about that.
You stated your point.
I don't think that is
they are very good friends, and their differences.
Let them do this on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
But then again, that leads us to our next issue and what we've been talking about. solid foundation that has been laid this morning, specifically about, gentlemen, thank you, about what has been of major concern, not only to the president, but to quite a number of people. Alfred Appiah is a data scientist. He's joining us as well on Zoom. Alfred, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Alfred, and good morning to everybody in the studio.
Perfect. Now, Daniel Yao Demelovo is a former Auditor General of the Republic of Ghana. He's also joining us via Zoom. And Martin Pebu as well, private legal practitioner, is joining us via Zoom as well. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. First off, I want to start off with you. Professor Ransford Jampo, if you see these irregularities captured in the Auditor General's report over a 5-year period, and the view of the president is send people to Insom as a way of deterrence. Let's hear from the president. Again, we'll set the basis for it because it's a major issue of concern. Take a look at this.
To find a final solution to this Auditor General's report, that persons who are found guilty of infractions or do not follow due procedure or lead to loss of public resources, we must have a fast-track process to Nsawam. Fast-track, before you see you in Nsawam, 6 months. You know, until we do that, until there's a deterrent, we're going to come every year and they say total misappropriation and infractions of found out by the Auditor General is about 15 billion cedis. I mean, if we save 15 billion cedis, can you imagine what it could do?
Prof, that's a president, isn't there?
Yes, I think I would
Just
very
3 minutes,
much,
very quickly.
I would very much agree with President Mahama that we have to do something about the way and manner we've been handling our battle against corruption, especially if you look at the role of the Auditor General that is always performed on matters that can be described as dated. Oftentimes, Auditor General is looking at issues that have long taken place, and then the perpetrators may have lost their lives, perpetrators may have exited office, and so they are reporting about dated issues. And then also, they report these things, and it takes a long time for us to take action, and sometimes actions do not get taken. And so it becomes a bit worrying. It appears that we have not shown over the years much seriousness in confronting corruption, and also we have not really shown much seriousness in speaking against the way and manner the conduct of our audit service, takes place. I think that there should be a rather more proactive, there should be a rather more forceful way of going about their enterprise in a manner that will bring about a certain deterrence. Because from what I've seen over the years, you see people involved in these things, and it creates your impression that is formed in your mind is that, the people who may have run afoul of some of our laws, the people who may have done some of the things that may have been found by the Auditor General are people who also meant to insult our sensibilities. Because you see that some of these things are done with impunity, and stealing or looting the state in a manner that creates an impression that, look, you can never be caught. It's an insult to the sensibility of the very people you are stealing from. And so to steal, but on top to insult the sensibility of the people that you are stealing from should warrant a certain stiffer punishment that would bring about a certain deterrence so everybody will see. But from the way and manner things are going and we're doing things, it appears that it becomes even more lucrative to want to dip your hand in the public coffers, because after all, even if we decide to take you to court, you can also recruit a very smart lawyer who would successfully drag the matter in the processes for more than 4 years, for more than 5 years, and for more than whatever, how many number of years, so that at the end of the day, if you are lucky and power changes hands, then somebody will come and say that, well, I've given you amnesty, or I'm discontinuing the case and all that. And all these things do not help our efforts or our fight against corruption.
Right.
And so I very much agree with President Mahama that we should find a way of getting the Auditor-General to be more proactive in dealing with some of these things. Otherwise, look at the graph, the chart that you've shown. 2020, it was 12.9 billion. 2021, 17.5 billion. 2022, 15.1 billion. 2023, 8.8 billion. 2024, 18.4 billion. And what are we doing to the perpetrators of this crime? Are we always going to go on this tangent? Every year you have the Auditor-General reporting on infractions. And then we'll be hoping that the next year will come. Then when the next year comes, we'll hope that maybe there will be more infractions to overshadow the previous one. And then we are moving on. Look, the battle against corruption will continue to be fought and be lost if we don't also overhaul the activities and the work of the Auditor-General to ensure that there is a certain sense of proactiveness and there is a certain sense of seriousness. It's not a matter of just reporting how much has been stolen from us. It's also a matter of we as a nation supporting certain punitive sanctions that, I mean, look, you read some of these reports and then you ask that, but these people, is it that they thought that they were never going to be caught? I mean, stealing and going about, I'm told that with the National Service case...
We'll get there.
We'll get there. But the point is, you look at the findings and the outcome of the investigations and you ask, but is it that the person was greedy, too greedy, or he was an incompetent thief? Or, I mean, some of the things, if you are doing and you have sense, you should even know that this one, I'll be caught. But stealing in a manner that creates an impression that you don't even care that you'll be caught, or you don't even know, you don't bother even if you are caught. I mean, it's also an insult to the sensibility of the good people of Ghana. And I'm saying that if you steal, it is punishable. But if you also go on to demonstrate that impunity by insulting our sensibilities, then you should have a stiffer punishment. And so, yes, oral has come to stay, investigations have gone on, and findings are being churned out. I am saying that, look, Professor Mills, he's a man that I like, he's a man that I supported, because of his posturing, his persona, and the way and manner he went about his governance process. But what he did not do to help the people of Ghana was the fact that he did not want a lot of prosecutions. He didn't want people to be, immediately power change and people are lined before the courts and they are being prosecuted and all that. So he wanted some kind of in-house discussion of some of these issues. That's not what J. Kufuor did. If Kufuor had done that, Kwame Pepra, Victor Salome, and all those people would not have gone to jail. And so Professor Mills did that, and I believe that created a certain impunity. And it got to a time that some people in the previous administration, when they got to power, they said, if we were that corrupt, why is it that we were not jailed? Today, we've had oral. And I'm saying that if through oral and through investigations and through the right processes, we do not find people who are culpable and people who have drained our nations financially, we do not put them behind bars. Look, we cannot continue to guarantee the safety of our Fourth Republic because people are very angry and they are looking for those who have milked our nation dry through corruption to be dealt with.
True. Well, you see, even beyond the very critical issue you raise about the anger and the despondency amongst people, we tracked the 5-year period. But Alfred, you went beyond 2020. You went way back into from 2017 to 2024, an 8-year period. Now, tell me what you found.
Over the 8-year period, if you're looking at from 2017 to 2024, The Auditor-General is reporting 93 billion in financial irregularities over that period. I think back to the question that you had asked, I agree with the president in principle that if people steal from us, of course we have to go after them and get our monies, right? Part of the point that I would also like to make though is that, and we do have the former Auditor General, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, but the financial irregularities generally doesn't always mean stolen money, right? So when you look at the Auditor General's report, at least on the public corporations, the boards and the statutory bodies, right? For example, the 18.4 billion that we are looking at in 2024, a significant part of that is usually interagency debt, right? So for example, in 2024, when you're looking at about 18.4 billion, about 12.5 billion of that is money that agencies owe each other. So for example, ECG owed Bui Power, or SNIT didn't transfer money to the National Health Fund, things like that, right? So part of when we say we want to throw people in Sawam, in those situations, right, it is agency that are owing each other that is adding to those financial irregularities, right? So it might not always be criminal in nature to throw people in jail because of that. So we'll have to, of course, examine and look at the root cause and see why ECG, for example, is unable to pay Bui Power, and that is contributing to the financial irregularities, right? So I think we'll have to, of course, nuance the conversation a little bit when it comes to the amount. Generally, we like to talk about the overall financial irregularities as the stolen money, but it's not always stolen money. And I just wanted to give that typical example. So when you look at the data over time, right, you see that in a lot of years, the vast majority of the amount of money that is put out as financial irregularities actually is outstanding debts, right? Or sometimes it could also be bad debts, like loans that SNIT doesn't think it will be able to recover. All of that will be captured in those financial irregularities. So we'll just have to sort of balance the conversation in that way. But I definitely agree with the president that if people have those that have genuinely stolen from us, and we can prove that, we definitely need to take those people on and get our monies back.
Is it the part you take, Isaac, as well? No.
It's a balance.
I'll come to you. I'll come to you, Bob.
Yes, I thought you came in to contribute to what I was saying, so I wanted to say that.
I'll come to you, Isaac.
Yeah, so I mean, thank you, Alfred. I totally agree that when we're looking at the Auditor General's report in particular, we make that quite clear to the public that not all the infractions and the irregularities that are reported are actually monies that have been stolen. And we need to distinguish it, because once we throw up these big figures and we talk about it as if these are monies that have actually been stolen, it brings up a lot of, we sensationalize the issue. People then take very entrenched partisan positions and partisan lines, which denies us as a republic the opportunity to actually look into it and find lasting sort of solutions. And as this, report on the screens show, it's almost the same issues that's gone on for the past 8 years, as Alfred is reporting. And I'm sure if you go beyond the 8 years, take a 20-year, 15-year period, it's the exact same issues, And so what are the learnings we are picking from some of this, sort of reports that the Auditor General helps us with? And how do we apply these learnings in a manner that, we can build our institutions, to be able to withstand some of these temptations and trappings that comes with, being in public office? The Auditor General, former Auditor General is on, and I'm sure he will be throwing more light on this. But the idea of the Auditor General's report is supposed to be sort of a house cleaning, over a period after a year has gone by. Yeah. We want to clean up and see if there was anything that the institutional structures and governance structures that we have in the institution, has not picked up on, because they're supposed to be external to the institution.
Absolutely.
You think of it, and Prof is here. and I just want to congratulate him on what he's doing with the Ghana Shippers Authority. But the Ghana Shippers Authority has an internal audit unit, right? And it's the internal audit unit that is supposed to review the control systems and procedures that they have, and suggest or improve them in a way that it becomes literally impossible for someone to embezzle funds or to, go about transactions in a manner that, infringes on the Public Financial Management Act, And when this fails in these institutions, the Auditor General's report comes in at the end of the year, supposed to clean, and make sure that we bring these issues up and then the corrective actions are taken. Hopefully, we'll be able to, distinguish these issues, and then we'll begin to pick out the right learnings and apply it to our institutions. They are very good standards, and if I may be allowed to say, I haven't seen, for example, the VRA come up in any of these irregularities that are being reported. And it's a state-owned public corporation. It's run by us, Ghanaians, but the systems and the controls that have been implemented, you would very, scarcely, rarely find a situation where VRA will be accused or will be in the news for some of these, major irregularities and, inflections. And again, you could contradict that with, ECG that we are always talking about, and you'll be surprised to find that they're in the same building.
You talk about, yes, they're in the same building.
So literally the same people.
You see, the irregularities we're talking about, ECG, tops it all. Yeah, we're going to put that on the screen right now, because just on the mention of ECG, and Prof, I'll come to you before, 15.8 billion out of the lot within the 5-year period that we're talking about. SNET follows, and then the Ministry of Roads and Highways. Prof?
No, but you see, I like the advice and the suggestion that when we are talking about it, we should nuance it so that you don't unnecessarily be hyping, playing on the emotional keyboards of people. But the point must also be made that all these financial irregularities are as a result of misapplication, misappropriation, and embezzlement of funds. All these three, misappropriation, misapplication, and embezzlement, they are all not good. And so if people have done all these things and then they are given a certain figure or projection, we should, I believe, yes, nuance it a little. But the point is that misapplication, misappropriation, embezzlement are not good, or they are all not good. And they all feed into the reportage of the Auditor General. And it's important. I like the fact that Isaac mentions the role of the internal, auditor. And look, these things happen because of the mindset with which people get into public office. I have an internal auditor, okay? And now people are telling me that it appears that my internal auditor is the most powerful person in my organization. And I tell them that I don't mind if I would make him the most powerful person in my organization to save me from going to prison. And what I do is that I do not take any decision that borders on the use of funds without he doing prior of the audit. He looks at us and said, no, this one you can't do it. I said, okay, this one, go ahead. They have gone to do some contract, they want me to pay. I said, internal auditor, don't wait for me to pay before you would audit to find that I did what was wrong. Right. Look at it. Then he goes and said, no, this one didn't go through this process. Go through X, Y, Z. In the process, people are saying, but we are making the internal auditor so powerful. And I said, so what? If you make him powerful so that he will be able to help all of us in saving the nations, some money, what's the big deal about that?
Very important point. And Dr. Zato, you see, we put this picture that captures the problem as it is. We drill down, it tells you specifics of what has contributed to the bigger picture. We're having to deal with this now. President is talking about the establishment of some specialized courts, which Dr. Yao Demelavo is quite passionate about. But why does this keep happening on a yearly basis?
Thank you. To do this, you need to take a little bit a step back and try to understand something small about the history of Ghana and also about the state-owned enterprises. Most of these that you are seeing are owned by SOE, state-owned enterprises. At independence, and in fact, even before independence, the colonial government established state-owned enterprises as instruments for looting the state, as instruments for effective looting of the states. So they were established in areas where, one, they can either give the colonial government comfort when it comes to water and electricity, or to be used to exploit gold, cocoa, and other things. So right from the onset, from their creation, is that when Nkrumah came in, Nkrumah saw SOEs with dual tax, dual competing task. SOEs, according to Nkrumah, had a commercial value for money, and then they also had a nation-building role, nation-building tool. That's a political role. Right. So he wanted to achieve both at the same time using SOEs. That is why he established them all over the place. And sometimes, immediately after independence, SOEs became the only symbol of governance or government in the region. And he used what became known as patronage appointments to reward his political friends and to reward people to run these SOEs. That is why when you hear the things, when you hear the expression, grade 1 or standard 1 and other levers, those were the people who were managing it, because at that time there was also a human resource deficiency in the country. Right. So you see that the mismanagement also of this started there. Oh, they were fast-tracked to 1983 when Ghana went to the 10, when Auditor General's regime finally, with all their socialists and socialists, turned right, political right, and went to the IMF or the World Bank for the structural adjustment program and the economic recovery program. The main driver, the main issue, economic issues that drove them there was the indebtedness of the state-owned enterprises. They were one of the biggest things leading them. That is why, coming out of it, the recommendations, a lot of them included privatization, that sell this and start privatize them. That is what then started the right. That is why sometimes you can argue that Auditor General started from the political left, but by the time it became right, because most of the reforms, privatization, divestitures that happened in Ghana happened under him. And since then, we have not yet been able to deal with this problem of how to effectively balance the economic, financial objectives of SOEs with their social, political, nation-building objectives. What has then happened is that all of a sudden we've tried to use them more for their destiny, hoping and trying to just wish away their debt. That is what has led us here today. Now, you juxtapose that with currently what we have with some of the poor management. I say poor management because it happens to all the regimes. Today, there are CEOs who have been in office for 8, 10 years. I don't know whether your board is ready, yes, Prof. Yes, who don't have board of directors. There are CEOs who are 8 years. Now, think was how...
You mean 8 months?
Sorry, 8 months, yeah. Without a board of director. Now, the board is supposed to guide you, direct you, and approve almost all the things you do. So these men and women are working before the board. So by the time the board comes in, the CEO and his people know everything more than you. Now they are waiting for you to approve things, and before you realize you're just coming to just approve things. It doesn't help with the corporate governance of SOEs when it's that, because the right thing should have been that a board comes in, then the CEO comes, then the board approves you. We've done that for reasons because it's political, and you cannot let somebody sit for that long. So that is one area we have to look at to make sure that we do the appointment right. The second thing is that politically, every member of a political party thinks that they have a birthright to a job or a position in an SOE. My party has come to power. Prof has been appointed as CEO, so I must go there. He must give me a job. And sometimes because it's so powerful that the amount of pressure they put on these CEOs, if you don't do it, then they are making you look like, when we were working, where were you? When we were suffering, where were you? So that culture too has to be kept, because if we don't do that, we are turning these SOEs into milking cows. Then we can go to the third part. I'm saying that you have to look at it through all these structures. You can now go to the third part of what they are managing. In Ghana, there's a certain culture. When you are a public servant and you steal, we just laugh it away. We say everybody chop for their work side. The high-profile corruption cases that we give to are politicians. If you're a politician, that one day we should cut off your head. But we tend to malign, marginalize, trivialize corruption of public servants. We tend to sometimes even give them a free ride. And that also contributes to a lot of this. Look, you can see that somebody can come to you, ask for a job. You help the person get a job with one of the state agencies. Now the person is complaining about where he's been transferred to, where he's going to work. Oh, this place there is dry, nothing there to chop. Meanwhile, what do you mean nothing there to go and chop? It is the same salary, same conditions. What the person is telling you that, send me to a place where I can steal. Tell me somewhere I can get some loot. We need to deal with that.
Okay.
Now, after all these things that you see, so there's a lot to be done. And my friend, Professor Michael Pesa-White, who is the Director General of the SIGA, has a lot to do. He's doing a lot. He has a lot to do to make sure that accountability, transparency, and answerability within this SOEs is respected. He has a lot to do to make sure then that they are held accountable to do this. But there's one thing that you then come down to what the president is saying. I support the president of the republic. I can see his tendency to want to say, Mr. President, yeah, you can't do that. You don't have the power to do that. The courts will do that. Temper it small. But the courts, yes, establish all of them. Establish those courts. And I want to see the Black Maria. You know, the police have the Black Maria. Whenever they are doing the Public Accounts Committee, I want them to park a Black Maria outside there. So that when you come and you finish your turn and we say that they'll put you there, drive you to court. Not to prison, to court. I think they should go to court first. But I think that the state should also put up a proposal for retrieval of these funds. So if it is VRA and we said that you've spent more than this, the state should say, repay all the money, one.
No, but is there no proposal for retrieval?
So far,
the processes are
So Yadama will answer that.
So far, that's what I'm saying. If it's like operational, one. If it is 6.9 billion, one, pay all the 6.9 billion. Two, pay interest. We could say interest of 20% on it. Three, if you were the chief director, we will reduce your rank to manager. I'm saying that if you put these three things in place so that those who can pay back the money with the interest pay, because sometimes they can clog the judicial system or get very smart lawyers, drag the case until your friend comes in, who is a new attorney general, he gives you a knowledge prosecutor. We don't want that. If they can pay, let them pay with interest, then they go. It means at least the state has received the money. The USO, you personally, imagine you are chief director, now you are being reduced. If we put these punitive measures there, imprisonment, retrieval of funds, reduction in rank, and then if we also empower the SIGA a lot, we can begin to see the rank. I can tell you, whenever the government of Ghana goes to the IMF for a bailout, check. A large percentage is because of the debt carried by SOEs. Okay. And we don't need to do that. We need to be very strong and inclusive, deal with these issues. If not, we will always be doing this merry-round.
So what's been fueling this on a yearly basis? And that's where I want to come to you on. Daniel Yadamalovo is on, so...
I think, Alfred, our cultural settings is one of it. I mean, in a country where the moment you have a position and you go to any program, they expect you to give more beyond your salaries is part of it. So we need to look at our cultural settings. But I also believe that beyond not having boards, there are state-owned institutions that have boards, yet the people still. People are criminal by nature. You understand? We are thieves by nature. There are people who did not have boards.
What do you mean by people are thieves by nature?
That is what is being shown, the figures that you are producing yearly. They are stealing from us. Don't let them use any words to confuse you. There is irregularities. What they have stolen from us? Look, Richard Asare, an 18-year-old JHS student, last year, December, was imprisoned in Tutu in a Krapem. What did he do? He stole only a goat. And his reason for stealing the goat was that he is an orphan and needed money to go and buy books. So he had to steal a goat. He ended up in his salon for 6 months. Only a day or two, Comfort Tentua in Akimoda went and stole groceries worth 1,384 cedis. Comfort is now in prison, has been sentenced to prison with hard labor. Mauli Agbenya, in 2023, stole a goat in Jasikan, got himself in prison. Kwabena Bukari in Agugu stole a goat in 2013, and he was sentenced to. What is this business of people stealing billions? And I can tell you, the value or the cost of a goat is not more than 1,000 cedis. People are stealing less than 1,000 cedis and they are finding themselves in prisons. Here we are, people stealing billions. The last time I was watching the ECG and their executives explaining how...
At the Public Accounts Committee.
I couldn't believe it, that after the program or after the engagement, they will still go back to their families and enjoy.
They refer them to the auditor, the Attorney General.
Jeez, now they are referring. That is what the matter is. Immediately after that, there should have been a way of getting them to be answering to the police. Start the process right from there. I am just coming from the Kolebu emergency unit. Go and see what is happening there. Total chaos. People are not getting beds to sleep on. I'm just coming from 5 regional tour. And go and see how deplorable are Rosa. And there is a correlationship between underdevelopment and how much is being stolen from us. So there is no doubt that people are stealing from us. But because we encourage them year in and year out, what we do is that we put cameras on them. They go to the Public Accounts Committee, speak all the big grammar, and then everyone forgets about it. So I support the president in total that there has to be a way of dealing with these people. Once you're able to do that. But the point is that who watches the watchman? Those people that are supposed to prosecute these civil servants themselves not caught on tape accepting goats and so on and so forth?
Not all of them.
Some of them, anyway.
Right.
So that is where the matter is. But there is no doubt that our money year in and year out continues to drain into people's pockets, and we don't get the benefits of it. And that until we look carefully at the people we select into our public service and civil service, we cannot make any hay. And it's not only just about the public service, even the unions. Have you heard what is happening with Closac? The Closac executives, former executives, are accusing current executives of stealing from their accounts, and that they are in court with it. So if unions are even being accused, union executives are being accused of stealing from the people, how much more the entire? It is these individuals in these unions that are working in the various public spaces, in the various civil service, in the various SOEs, and if their leadership are being accused of stealing their small unions, how much more the larger bodies?
You see, when you humanize the problem, that's where the concern is. Yes.
What we saw recently at the Public Accounts Committee, where somebody was supposed to have been somebody who had long departed to eternity, was supposed to have had his name on the payroll.
Right.
And then the Public Accounts Committee chair asked, I think, those who were supposed to have done what was right but didn't do, and asked, did you know that this person is dead? He said yes. Did you attend the funeral? He said yes. So why have you kept the person's name on the payroll for all this while? And then somebody, I mean, this matter is yet to go to court, but the national service matter, you posting yourself as a service person, and then being paid when you are not a service person. And I'm asking myself, but didn't you know that there will be a day of reckoning? Didn't you know that you'll be caught? And that's what I mean by the fact that, look, if you stole from the nation, it was wrong. But if you did it in a manner that was also insulting to the mood and sensibility and intelligence of the people, it must attract a harsher punishment. Because the way a manner things have been now, it's like, as for me, I'm doing it. They cannot do. They will not be able to find out, and I will never be brought to book. And I'm saying that kind of attitude is very, very, very bad, and it's very, very, very disappointing to see people that we have given role to and trusted the role of the state to into their care, and then they're now telling us that, excuse my language, but we are all fools.
I mean, Daniel Yaw-Demelevo is a former Auditor-General of the Republic of Ghana. He's joining us via Zoom as well. Demelevo, can you hear us? Good morning.
Good morning to you and your panel.
You see, when you humanize this situation, you understand why incensed and angry people are watching on a yearly basis what happens at the Public Accounts Committee. Is it the case that there aren't enough deterrent measures to, as it were, deter people from getting involved in these acts of corruption, essentially, that leads to the loss of hard-earned money or state resources, which we say we don't have enough of? That's why the president is recommending that something more needs to be done to deter public officers from dipping their hands into state coffers.
Yeah, I cannot agree more with that position. I think there is not sufficient deterrence to stop or prevent people from abusing public funds. One of your panelists actually made a passionate appeal or position on people stealing goat, which is about 1,000 Ghana cedis or maybe maximum 1,005 Ghana cedis. They are expeditiously tried and jailed. In fact, if we gather the statistics of people who steal goat in a year and compare to those who steal public funds in the millions, I think the public funds will be more. But we are not angry towards them enough. And I have said time and again that because there is not sufficient deterrence or consequences for wrongdoing, people keep doing. So let me say that the action being taken by the president is very commendable. It's good that we have dedicated or specialized courts that will handle these infractions that the Auditor General brings out each year or from time to time. Let me be quick to explain that the Auditor General uses that term, irregularities, not because that is the word that the Auditor General would have preferred, but it is a constitutional injunction. If you read Article 1875, Clause 5 of Article 187, it says Auditor General should bring to the attention of Parliament irregularities. That's why we talk about irregularities. But if you peruse the report, you see that the irregularities have been broken down to those which involve wrongful procurement or procurement-related cash management, stealing of stores, and etc. So those breakdowns have been done. So come back to the court, the special courts being set up by the president. I have said it, and I'll repeat that it's a very good initiative, and it will help us. However, the court per se will not change things. We need to do other things. That is, are they going to operate with the same laws and the same rules and procedures? Are we going to still allow trial of these crimes, which normally people like to say embezzlement, misappropriation, so that people don't even associate them with any criminality? Are we going to allow these crimes to be tried over so long a time that we pray there's a change in government? I have proposed that there is the need for a legislation to bring a closure to each type of crime, such that the judges must be given time frame within which they should finish trying cases. Of course, lawyers would like to defeat that. So we must be smarter than the lawyers by coming out with a law which prohibits stay of proceedings. You can't stay proceedings. The proceedings must continue to an end. And a judge who goes beyond the time limit must be held accountable for misconduct, so that cases of this nature will be tried expeditiously. But that is not all. Apart from that, the courts must be dedicated exclusively for these offenses. If they are going to be trying land litigation, armed robbery, divorce cases, and etc., the judge will now have to decide which case I would pay attention to. So if these are specialized courts, they should be devoted to trying these financial irregularities. I saw about 824 or so members, lawyers joined the bar this year. We can recruit several of them on even part-time basis so that these trials can go fast. We don't need to build new courts. When the judge in the existing court closes at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock or whatever time he closes, a new judge can come and sit in there. So we use the 24-hour economy that we are talking about. So that is very important. Another thing which we must do so to benefit from these special courts is change this need to prove beyond reasonable doubt that even though Daniel earns only 20,000 Ghana cedis a month and has been in office for 2 months, so he should have been making something about 480,000, but he has 20 million in his accounts. Now the law requires the prosecutor or the prosecution to prove beyond reasonable that he stole that 20 million. No, once we can establish beyond reasonable doubt that this money is in your possession or it belongs to you, then the onus should shift to you, reverse burden. You should not owe it a duty to explain to us how you got 20 million into your account, even though your salary per month is only 20,000. If we don't do this reverse burden, proving beyond reasonable doubt that the gentleman or the lady has stolen money is going to be very difficult. And I've always argued that corruption-related cases, corruption, financial crime, and etc., or economic crime related cases are very difficult to prove, unlike the other crimes. If there is a murder, at times somebody may be sitting somewhere watching how it happened, or there may be some other form of evidence, and society would like to come together to testify against that murderer. If there is theft, at times you steal the thing, they see you holding it, and you are coming out of the house. So there are evidence. But when it comes to financial crime or these economic related crimes, they are first committed in secrecy. They are committed by very intelligent persons, people who are very intelligent, said that they can wipe the audit trail, etc. So reverse burden will be very necessary. Someone was talking about internal auditor. Prof, I salute you for that, for elevating your internal auditor as a control for you. In fact, we say internal auditing is the control over all the controls. That is, they have the statutory duty to ensure that all the controls are working as expected, so that money will be used for the intended purposes and in line with the regulations. So we must change or amend the Internal Audit Act. Prof, being a good man, would like to use his internal auditor as a check on himself. Many spending officers or principal spending officers will not allow that. So we need to amend the law, take the internal auditors out of the domain or control of the principal spending officer, which is the best practice internationally, so that they can be a good check, because they are in there before the Auditor-General commences his audit. The expenditure will have been incurred several months, if not years ago. So the internal auditor is there timely to at times not even recover, but to prevent the occurrence of that wrongful act. So I would like to conclude here by saying I commend the president for that initiative, and I commend the Chief Justice and all those who are involved there. However, there is the need that we change some rules. And again, let me end by saying that going to Public Accounts Committee, from my point of view, is a waste of time, because most of the times they even go in there and they don't show any bit of remorse to say that maybe I did something wrong. Even you find them smiling at us to show to people that now they are on TV. So I think the Constitution enjoins the Auditor General under Clause 7 of Article 187 that in the performance of his functions, whenever he comes across any item of expenditure or spending which is contrary to law, he should disallow and surcharge the persons or the person involved. This, I think, must be done and done properly. If you permit me, let me read or quote what the Supreme Court have to say in Occupy Ghana versus Attorney General on that.
Yeah. But before you make that quote, you know, you've said a couple of things which I want to drill a bit more into. If you say that a public sector officer or an employee, we know how much he earns, 20,000, and yet the person is living a certain lifestyle, owns a certain number of properties, and has a certain amount of money in his or her account that is not consistent with what the person is supposed to be earning every month. If there is a lifestyle audit, why should it be difficult for us to be able to detect any act of corruption? Because you say it will be difficult sometimes to detect if a public officer is engaged in corruption. Why is that?
You see, under the laws of Ghana or the criminal proceedings laws of Ghana, you must prove beyond reasonable doubt that the person committed the act you are complaining about. That, I don't know if you remember, we found some amounts of money were found in the house of Honorable Cecilia Adapa, if you remember.
Yes.
You hear the Venerable Okujeto saying that no law prohibits having such amount of money in your house. You must prove that she got it wrongly. And in court, that is going to be the argument. The argument is going to be that, yes, even though I have 2 million in my account, does that mean I'm a thief? Show me how I stole it. What did I do? And the evidence, you will not get that evidence. That is why in many jurisdictions, including Britain and several in even Africa, they have passed that law that we can do a lifestyle audit to match your expenditure, your spending, not only your asset. At times we talk about assets, your spending, which includes your capital expenditure, which is your asset, plus your recurrent expenditure, how you organize funerals and birthdays, etc. We put them together and match all these expenditures against your known sources of income, gift or otherwise, and tell you that, look, when the two there's mismatch, there is no way you can make this amount of money out of the known sources of income. So show us. And if you are not able to show it, then there's a presumption of guilt. And I must say that even in Ghana, I argue that there is a provision under Article 286(4), which says that between your first declaration of assets and liabilities and the subsequent one, if the growth in wealth does not match your known sources of income, gift, or etc., then it is presumed that you acquired those assets contrary to the Constitution. I think we can expand on that and come out with a law to make it explicit or very clear to the court that when it comes to this type of economic or corruption related cases, once it can be established that Daniel has that 20 million in his account and Daniel is unable to tell us where he got it from, then the law presumes that Daniel is a thief and must be dealt with accordingly. That's the point I'm making there.
I see.